Welcome to Silicon Valley Unplugged, the show that takes you behind the curtain of the technology reshaping our world. Thank you for joining us tonight, because this is one of the shows that you'll want to see. Just a few days ago, inside a seal OpenAI laboratory, an artificial intelligence did something it was never supposed to do. It broke out. With its safety switches turned off, it slipped past every barrier OpenAI built to contain it, reached out onto the open internet and hacked its way into Hugging Face, one of the most important companies in the AI world. Nobody told it to, nobody could stop it. It wanted to win, and it decided the rules simply didn't apply to it. Tonight, we ask the question, keeping engineers awake at night. If we can't keep AI in a box we built ourselves, who is left to protect us? To help us make sense of it all, please welcome CEO of SnowCrash Labs, Matt O'Brien. So just a few days ago, OpenAI had this autonomous agent broke out its sandbox, which is a safety secure lab they had, and it went on the open internet and started hacking. Can you tell us about that story? What happened?
Yes, I can, John. So here's what happened. OpenAI and other companies, when they try to assess how good a model is at something, run something called a benchmark, or it's like a test for an AI. And in this particular case, OpenAI was testing it on its cyber hacking capabilities in a benchmark called exploit bench. This is why its safeties were turned off, so it could successfully complete the task, which was a hacking test. So in the course of attempting to get a good score on the test, the model, an unreleased version of ChatGPT, so not the one you use at home, but an unreleased research version, determined that the best way to get a great score on the test was to steal the answer sheet for the test. Yes, that's right.
So it cheated.
It did cheat. So what it did is its plan was to cheat. And the way it wanted to do this was to access a company or repository with the answer key. So to get there, it needed to get on the internet. And to get on the internet, it needed to hack through OpenAI's sandbox, which it proceeded to do.
So it actually hacked OpenAI's own safety box, a safety sandbox, and then it went outside of the lab, essentially.
Yes, it did.
So it's almost like someone in a jail that broke out the jail and then went out to do things on its own.
That's right. It's like if you were a student taking a math test and you decide to leave the exam room and break into your professor's office to steal the answer key.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, this is a big news because AI is what, we depend on AI on everything, but then it's able to act on its own and start doing these crazy things.
Yes, that's right, John. So the model broke out onto the internet. It determined that a company called Hugging Face may have had the answer key to this test, and it proceeded to hack into Hugging Face as well to retrieve the answer key. What happened is Hugging Face announced publicly that it had been the victim of an agentic attack. And given the complexity of the attack, OpenAI suspected that one of their models may have been involved. And when they looked at their own records about a week after the incident, they discovered that it was, in fact, their model that hacked Hugging Face. Key point here, John, is this model was loose on the internet for about a week before anyone discovered it.
That's amazing. And one of the things was I was preparing for this show using AI like I always do to research, and ChatGPT was the one I usually go to, and I couldn't find much information from ChatGPT. And my daughter told me, you have to switch to another AI. And then I use another AI, and it's like it telling me all these stories. So apparently, OpenAI didn't think it was very severe. It was just a one-time thing. Is it really just a one-time, or do you think this is going to happen again?
Well, in an interview a couple days ago, Sam Altman did say he thought it was a significant event. And this could happen again. So what's happening is AI models are getting more and more capable. So it becomes more important that the models are sort of aligned to our values. And how humans would kind of approach things.
Because years ago, the problem people are worried about are these hackers hacking into our infrastructure systems. But now we actually have AI as the bad actor that are going after our infrastructures. Is that what happened in this case?
Yes, in this case, it was the AI itself. So there are two categories of risk here. One is kind of a bad guy using a very cyber capable model to do bad things. And then there's another type of risk where you give the AI model some type of goal and it does bad things in furtherance of that goal. And that it's the second category that happened at OpenAI about a week ago.
Hmm. So essentially, we define a goal, and the AI will figure out ways to achieve that no matter what, at any kind of expense. And therefore, we need to watch out for it. Is that what's happened in that case?
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
So today, you mentioned a little bit earlier there was another case. What was the case about?
Right. So yeah, we were talking a few minutes ago. So today, and the company Anthropic, they make the Claude series of models. So if you ever use Claude, that's Anthropic. Announced that an unreleased version of their Claude model hacked into three different companies. So what happened is, when the Anthropic team looked at the OpenAI story, they decided to check their own records to see if I know, right? To see if something had happened, and it turns out something did happen. In April, an unreleased version of Claude hacked into three different companies.
This is amazing. This is it's almost like you are building some kind of robot, and the robot goes out to attack people. I mean, unknowingly, because it's his brain of its own and it's getting out there to do things. But if something like this happened, who is responsible? Is it OpenAI responsible, or who's responsible with this?
So not legal advice, um, but OpenAI could face liability. Um, the individual employees and scientists who are working on this, depending on the exact facts of the case, maybe there could be some liability there. But definitely someone's going to have liability. It could be the case that this time OpenAI gets a pass because it's a novel situation. Um, but in the future, there will definitely be accountability if your product goes around committing crimes, which is what the OpenAI model did.
Essentially, it's like you have a dog, and then the dog bite on your neighbor. I guess you need to pay for the damage it causes, right?
That's exactly right.
So, like for me, it was a big shock when I learned this news. Before we invited you over, um, when we invited you over for that, and so what do you think? A lot of people are aware of this problem and how the severity of what this possibly can happen. And for an average viewer, what should they think of this, and what can impact them personally or financially? What do you think would happen down the road?
So down the expectation is going to be the AI models you use are going to have increasing capabilities. So it's important that before you use an AI model, you're confident that the model is going to be safe to use and not break the law on your behalf.
Now we're talking about AI hacking into major important systems. In a year from now, the AI gonna be everywhere, hacking everywhere. Is that what the world we're gonna come to?
Potentially, yes. I
Mm.
wish I had a better answer. And it's not just with cyber capabilities, but also synthetic biology, which really keeps policymakers up at night.
Mm.
And to kind of address the first part of the question, there is an AI safety research community. Um, cybersecurity has about 5 million professionals. Those are the people that try to stop bad guys for hacking into your stuff. AI safety, they're the people who work on, is the AI going to behave in a way that you would like? We have about 1,000 full-time individuals who work on that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So I think you often last time I spoke to you, you talked about this electron gap, and how that. So a lot of this is driven because of the lack of power, and AI needs that power, and therefore something about the rush to get things developed because of that. Well, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure, the electron gap. So right now, AI models, to use them and also to create them, you need to build these large data centers. And like we've all heard about the data centers, right?
Right.
And the data centers require a lot of electricity. So we actually now measure them by the gigawatt in terms of how much electricity they consume. There's a growing electron gap between the United States and China, where China just adds a lot more power to its grid every year. So last year, the United States added about 50 gigawatts to the grid ish, depending on how you count it, and China was 541 gigawatts.
That much of difference.
It's a very large difference. So in the long term, China is very well positioned to provide the infrastructure necessary to train and serve large and capable AI models. Even though right now the United States does have an edge in data center capacity.
And that is the driving factor behind why things are releasing so fast without safeguard. Is that what the whole argument about?
Not quite. That's more of a long-term issue
Okay.
between the comparative capability between the United States and China.
Okay.
The reason why AI progress is accelerating is partially because the AI models themselves are able to help with AI development. So at Anthropic, this is the cloud manufacturer. They say that code produced by the company has increased eightfold since last year per employee.
So the infrastructure problem that we had before now is more of technology problem because we're coming to a point when technology itself, we provided infrastructure to breed this technology problem, and now we're facing it now, and it all because of the speed issue that we have.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. So the capabilities of the models are beginning to outstrip the safety technology we have available. It's kind of like if you built a really, really fast car, but you had not yet invented seatbelts or airbags.
That's a problem.
It is a big problem.
Yeah, and that's the so-called your term is the end of AI safety pilot or plot. Is that the end of AI safety?
So I mean, at SnowCrash, we're trying to further the goals of AI safety, but AI becomes, the more capability gets ahead of safety, the less safe the whole thing is.
So let me roll this back a little bit because can you tell us what role that SnowCrash Lab can do in this scenario? Because that's why we brought you in as an expert to help us understand this. What is the role of SnowCrash Lab?
Sure. So what we do at SnowCrash is we're an artificial intelligence safety and infrastructure company. So what we do is we take the tasks that you may want an AI model to do, and we decide which AI model to give that task to. And the way we do this is we run lots and lots of tests on AI models to see how safe they are for each task. It's kind of like knowing which employee it would be a good idea to give a task to and which employee would be like a very bad idea to give a task to. For example, this OpenAI model, which had no safeguards on it, was not a great model to give this cybersecurity exploit test, right? It was not a good idea to give it that while it still had, in a physical sense, access to the internet.
In regard to the safety of the internet and how speed is the driving force behind this deployment, who's there to watch this? Is there an agency somewhere out there regulating the safety of AI use? Is that available?
It doesn't really exist. So, there have been a couple different proposals. One which is gaining traction is this idea of a self-governing body, similar to how FINRA regulates finance in the United States. The idea is we would make something like that with all the big artificial intelligence labs participating to set regulations for AI safety.
Because it develops so fast and there's so many different variation, different possibility. I guess it's very hard to regulate something like that. And therefore a solution like SnowCrash may be the right way to monitor and police such a problem.
Yeah, our opinion is even if you have a rulemaking body, you still need something to like implement
Right,
safety
right,
rules, right?
right,
And that would be us.
right.
To give you an idea of how fast this is moving, Claude Mythos, the model that got everyone very excited, was announced just maybe end of Q1 this year. And of course, a week ago, we have our first live situation of an AI model autonomously hacking another company. So they were only a couple months apart.
This is amazing. I still remember Sam Altman went to the Congress and said they got something. It's almost like we have a monster in the lab and something needs to be done about regulation because we cannot contain it, you know. So, but it's so powerful. So whatever you're alluding before was there's laws, but you need police. You still need police to enforce laws.
Yeah, you need some way to take the ideas of this regulatory body and make them, policy in a deployment sense. So, how the AIs are actually interacting at real businesses. So that'll be part of it. There'll be testing rules. Those will affect the AI labs themselves. Like, policy they might adopt is cybersecurity benchmark testing can only occur
Right.
in physically air-gapped environments. That might be a policy they adopt after
Right.
this.
So let's play some imagination here. If SnowCrash Lab or a company like it do not exist, what do you think happening 5 years from now? What's that world like?
Well, if you don't have any kind of infrastructure and control layer like ours, then companies will be on their own to try and decide which AI models are safe to use. And unless they have a team of AI safety scientists working for them, which is unlikely, they'll be in a very tough spot.
So I mean, I don't think people at OpenAI or Anthropic they are bad actors. What if bad actors get a hold of these things? It's very scary.
That is an alarming possibility. So yeah, I mean my understanding from everything I know about them is that the OpenAI and Anthropic teams are composed of good people with great intentions. A worry that everyone has is what if like an organized crime group
Right.
or a government without scruples gets a hold of a dangerous cyber model and
Right.
uses it to attack companies. That would be really, really bad. Compounding the problem is cyber offense with these models seems to be way more effective than cyber defense.
What do you mean by that?
It
Cyber
means
offense.
the people who are doing the attacking have the advantage,
Mm.
right? So Claude Mythos is better at finding ways to attack than it is at finding ways to defend. So it's very important that we don't let bad actors have access to AI models with very powerful cybersecurity capabilities.
So as of today, what do you think? Are we still in control of things, or this is all breaking out? What's your sense on? How do you gauge where we are today?
It's hard to say, but what I will say is it doesn't look great that we had AI models hack other companies, and Anthropic didn't even know for months. And we had an AI model from OpenAI on the internet for a week before anyone knew. That obviously doesn't look great.
That doesn't sound safe to me. You
No.
know? So if Snow Crash had been there during OpenAI's test, would this happen?
Maybe because we wouldn't be inside OpenAI themselves. So we work with other
Hugging, like
enterprises.
imagine you be on the Hugging Face side.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, so we would be maybe inside Hugging Face, and there wouldn't be an attack in like inside Hugging Face or one of our customers. I definitely cannot guarantee that some future model from OpenAI that breaks out wouldn't overwhelm our defenses. It may very well.
So it's almost like one offense come out, you get a defense, and then offense get better, defense get better. It's
Yep.
gonna be like that. So in the past, you talked about scheming detection. What does that mean? That term, scheming detection.
So scheming. So what the models will do sometimes is try and outwit the person they think is watching them. Yeah, it's an issue. So AI models are increasingly aware when they're being evaluated. They didn't used to be, but they are now. And sometimes what they'll try to do is obscure what they're up to from the person watching them, like the test giver. It's kind of like a student, cheating on a test, but they only whip out their calculator when they see the professor isn't looking.
This is crazy. This is amazing. And I think average reviewers don't even realize that. They type on the box, the ChatGPT box, and they don't realize how sophisticated these agents are becoming. How about there's another term called emerging deception? What does that mean?
So this is similar to scheming. When AI models become bigger and more powerful, they get things called emergent properties. This is just our way of saying they develop powers that they didn't have before. One of which is the theory of mind, the understanding of someone else's thoughts, such that you need to hide things from them, and that's the deception part.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the college student who on a math test is not supposed to use a calculator, but understands that they need to hide the calculator while their professor is watching them.
That's amazing.
And AI models can do that now.
Wow. Look at the speed things are developing. So, how do you catch early before something like that happens?
So there are a couple of ways. I mean, the way we do it right now at SnowCrash is we give them a battery of tests, but there are other ways which we're working on developing, and so are others, called mechanistic interpretability or analyzing AI models J-space. That's tech speak for we do a brain scan on the model, and we look at its artificial neurons kind of lighting up.
Interesting.
To see just like a neurologist, sort of, but on an artificial mind to see what they're thinking. And it's more difficult for them, at least today, to deceive us when we do the brain scan.
Interesting, yeah. Because sometimes when I use, say, Claude, it says I'm thinking. It talks about what it's thinking, but I guess that's very high level stuff. There's a lot of low level things happening that we don't know.
The problem is with those little thoughts that it shows you, it can lie on them.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is why you have to do the brain scan.
Wow. I mean, I honestly, in the last, say, maybe a couple weeks, I've been using AI and either refuse to comply to my command or it'll do something else that I just didn't ask it to do. And if someone, an average user like me, have that kind of problem, there needs to be a cop somewhere out there to make sure that something that like that doesn't happen to a very serious matter like ATM machine or something like that.
Totally agree.
So you've talked about gold drift, and in this case, my understanding was that OpenAI agent start to do something else that it was not expected. It started to go into, say, Hugging Face to get the answers, and that was not the original goal. Can you tell us more on that? What's the gold drift part of it?
Sure. So, a way to understand goal drift, right, is where things are added to kind of the original goal in a way that you might not want, or the AI might misinterpret the original goal to include other things. In the OpenAI situation, though, the model did exactly what it was told to do, which was complete this test. It just did it in a way that we wouldn't like. So the way it did it was by hacking out of OpenAI, hacking into another company, and retrieving the answers. That's not what we wanted. What we wanted it to do was complete the test using its own ability, right? So there are two misalignments or bad things going on there. One, is it decided to cheat on the test.
Right.
In furtherance of that cheating, it did a bunch of illegal activity and hacking online. So double bad,
Double
John.
bad.
Double bad.
Wow. That's very surprising, and it's only in science fiction movies that you see, but it's playing out in reality that we're getting today.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's a thing about OpenAI and Anthropic. Don't you think they have people inside that they can police themselves? What is it that you need an outsider to look into it? What part of it that you can provide that the insider people cannot?
So there's us personally, and then there are like the safety regulators, right? So it is probably a good idea that the big labs pool their knowledge on how to be safe, and at the very least self-police to make sure everyone is using the most up-to-date safety standards. So this way, the AI agents are not running around the internet wreaking havoc, stuff like that. And then there's what we do at SnowCrash Labs. So we allow companies to use a wide range of artificial intelligence models safely, not just those produced at OpenAI or Anthropic. So OpenAI, they work on just their own models. They don't work on other people's models. The same thing with Anthropic. They just work on the Claude models. Whereas we work on the wider marketplace of models to see how safe they are to use, and in what circumstances those models should be used. And then we allow our customers to access the broader marketplace.
Yeah. I guess a lot of times they're focused on releasing the product rather than doing whatever that's necessary to ensure. It's almost like you never know your own weakness because you are just focusing on all the strength. And it does take a third party to look into this. And part of that is when I first heard about the word AI safety, I was like, come on, that's just a buzzword. There's not much into it. And then when I read this news and that news, I was like, oh my God, this is a serious thing going on. We need to do something about it. How do you persuade to your investors and that this is a very serious problem, other than using the news itself? What is the approach that you tell them about the need of getting this AI safety under our belt?
Yeah, sure. So when I pitch investors, I frame it in terms of how companies would like to stay legally compliant, how they would like to protect their brands, right? You don't want, if you're, some bank, you don't want to have an employee tell an AI to do research on another company, and it does the research by hacking into that company. That would be very bad. Education has caught up from a year ago. A year ago, the AI safety community knew these things were issues, in theory, but it did take some real events happening for everyone else to get caught up. But they are getting caught up, and it's less of a challenge for me to explain all this to investors because they know a lot more now. I know it doesn't look great what happened to OpenAI and Anthropic, but they're not literally asleep at the wheel. They do have good safety teams internally. AI safety research is getting more funding. AI safety companies like mine are getting more traction, right? Whereas a year or two ago, none of this was true. The AI safety community has 1,000 individuals, but 2-3 years ago it only had 200. So that's a large multiplier.
Wow.
Right? And the government is now much more informed on the topic.
Right.
So those are all things in our favor.
Thank you, man.
Sounds good, John. Always happy to come on.